Greetings and spleens. What's a camel's favorite day? Hump day. What's hump day? Wednesday. What's Wednesday? Yes, yes, yes. Welcome to another episode of A Day in the Word in a brand new location. Sweet Bear and I have officially moved in to our new apartment. This is the official new location for A Day in the Word, this lovely brick background. Today we are in chapter 6. Oh my gosh, we're almost halfway through. This is crazy. Let's get started by reading Daniel chapter 6, verses 1 through 9. So in this chapter, we have yet another new king, and this king's name is Darius. And at the beginning of chapter 6, King Darius sets these 120 satraps or satraps, however you want to say it. They're basically these leaders over his kingdom. And then over those 120, he places 3 administrators who are supposed to lead and govern those 120 satraps. Satraps. And just take a guess at who one of those 3 administrators is. That's right, our boy Daniel. And not only is Daniel one of those 3 head leaders, but the word actually says that Daniel distinguished himself amongst all of the leaders. The word says that Daniel was one of the best of the best, as per usual. But you see, the other leaders, they start to get a little jealous and they start to get a little annoyed of Daniel because he's so good, he's making them look bad. And that's where sort of the first lesson for this chapter popped up for me, and I wrote it down in my trusty journal, and I wrote, being excellent does not always mean being popular. And so all these other jealous leaders, they want to take Daniel down. But they know that they're not going to catch him doing something bad because he's so honorable. So they hatch this plan for this new law that they're going to pitch to the king. And this law says that anyone who prays to anyone or anything else other than the king in the next 30 days will be thrown into a den full of lions. So they pitch this law to the king, and of course the king's all about it. Oh, so people are going to pray to me? And just me? I'm down. Sure. Let's see what happens next by reading verses 10 through 15. Okay, I am in love with Daniel. Listen to what he does as soon as he finds out that this new law has been decreed. It says in verse 10, he went home to his upstairs room where the windows opened toward Jerusalem. 3 times a day, he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God just as he had done before. Daniel takes this new law and he shoves it straight in these other leaders' faces. He goes upstairs, windows open, on his knees 3 times a day, praying and praying and praying like a boss. And when the other jealous leaders tell King Darius about this, Darius doesn't want to punish Daniel because Daniel is so good at his job. But because of the king's pride, his hands are tied and Daniel is thrown in to the lion's den. Now it's time for the showdown we've all been waiting for. And we find it in verses 17 through the end, 17 through 28. Please read those. Go. If you know anything about the book of Daniel at all, then you probably know this story, which means that you know that the next morning, Daniel was untouched. Those ferocious lions spent the whole night like purring little kitty cats. And once again, this chapter reinforces all of these lessons that we've talked about time and time again in this book. God was with Daniel in the lion's den, just like he was with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the furnace. At the end of this chapter, once again, we see that because of Daniel's pursuit of excellence and faithfulness and truth, he is given extreme favor, even in dark and difficult circumstances. And while those lessons are really good and really important, we've talked about all of them before, so let's talk about something new that I found in this chapter. What really popped out to me in this section was this repeating phrase that I read in verse 19, and I found it actually already happened back in verse 16. It says, "Your God, whom you serve continually." Now, obviously, this phrase is talking about Daniel in his pursuit of serving the God of the Bible all the time. That's what continually means. Duh. But what's really interesting to notice is that both times that this phrase pops up, it is spoken by Darius, which means that the king noticed Daniel's faithfulness, which means that Daniel's faithfulness had an effect. It made an impression on the king. And there was sort of like a big, bold lesson that I drew out of this section of scripture, and I wrote it in my trusty journal. I wrote down, "There is no greater witnessing power than that of continual service to God in the sight of others." Now, this doesn't mean that we should only serve God when other people are watching so that we can witness to them. In fact, I would actually argue that if you're not committed to continually serving God in your private life, then there's no way that you're going to be able to continually serve Him in your public life. What this section of scripture encourages me to do, and what I hope it encourages you to do as well, is to commit to continually serve our God. Because the promise that I pull out of this scripture is that if we commit to continually serving the Lord in all circumstances, then what God's going to do is He's going to take that faithfulness and He's going to use it to witness to others in powerful, powerful ways. That's good. Real good. Thank you so much for watching another episode of A Day in the Word. For those of you who follow this channel, you know that we are in the second week of Vloguary, where I'm uploading a new video to this channel every single day. It's been a challenge, but it has been so fun. Please, after you're done watching this video, go back, watch some of the others. They've been a lot of fun. Hopefully you can have fun watching them too. I don't know why the videos are that way, but they are. Maybe they're that way, maybe they're that way, or this way. Before you do that though, you should subscribe to the channel, comment below, I love hearing from you, and before you do any of that, you should just keep being awesome.